Hello, everybody. This is Dave Wallace coming to you from my home here in Waihawa, Hawaii, and I'll take off my glasses. Anyway, for those of you who've been following my YouTube channel and wondering why I stopped doing the Powerball announcements, the numbers, is that right now the Powerball is really small, and so I'm waiting for it to um, increase in size. And while we're waiting for this increase in size, let me talk to you about an interesting experiment that I've been performing over the past couple of years. In fact, several years ago, I was reading an article about alternative timelines, and it really intrigued me, especially as a remote viewer and a person that has the ability to jump on other people's timelines to take a look at my own personal timeline and see alternative selves. Okay, and in theory, basically, is anytime we make a major life decision, what we do is when we decide one way or another, we create a split in a timeline. And this split in a timeline creates the future that we're on. And the second other split is the future is a possibility. Okay. And so the way to look at these alternative selves is or alternative realities is pick a major life-changing event that occurred in your lifetime where you can exactly know when you did it and go back in time. And the decision you made already created the timeline that you're on. So to explore this other timeline, you need to ask yourself, you know, what would have happened had I made a different decision? Okay. And the first major event that I took a look at in my life was going back to when I was 5 years old when I had my accident. Okay, my accident where I fell out of the car. And I traveled back to that point in time where my brother and I were playing in a car. And we were just a few minutes away from home, okay, when this accident occurred. And after falling out of the car, that particular event created situations that led up to me to the current timeline. And so I wanted to take a look at what if I didn't fall out from the car, and instead I knew when I was after the accident, I looked at the car. Um, the handle to open a door and the handle to roll down the window is almost really close to each other. And there's also a knob, kind of place where you could rest your arm. And so, in one of these alternative realities, I decided to reach out and grab the armrest up against the door, and that didn't open the door. And I was able to fly back, grab onto that, and the door didn't open, and I didn't fall out. How did and from that point on, my childhood was very different. Okay, I wasn't in a hospital as often. I didn't get to see all of the different things that I was able to see, and my life was very plain and ordinary. Okay, and so I couldn't see spirits. Spirits wouldn't come and see me. In fact, all of these places, I remember seeing spirits as a kid. When I went into the hospitals, I was waiting for these things to pop up, and none of it happened. And so it really completely changed my childhood memories. And People didn't think I was crazy. In fact, up until the time I fell out, I was really interested in books from a young age. And I remember in kindergarten, I used to take out books. And even though I couldn't read that well, I used to like looking at the pictures. And I'm a picture learner. And I learn better when I see things in pictures, or I can think in pictures. And this became a really strength in me. And it's really interesting, my interest in books, because I wasn't in hospital going out and stuff. I started focusing in on reading books and writing a lot. And by the time I was ready to leave Molokai, instead of going to um, Lahaina Luna, I ended up following one of my pursuits, and I was able to get into Mid Pacific, okay, Mid Pacific Academy, and this life that I was in and this timeline that I was in and stuff, I became a scholar and very interested in research, and I was more scientific in my approaches and stuff. So there's a segment, a slice of that life that I enjoyed in this current life, but um, had I not gotten into that accident when I was a 5-year-old child and stuff, it would have been much more intensive and going beyond high school. And since I was able to go to Mid Pacific. From there, I obtained the training that I needed, and I was able to go up to BYU. When I went up to BYU in 1972, um, my the courses that I was taking and stuff was pre-veterinarian. Well, because I had the academic background and the smarts, I was able to complete that program and actually started working earned my degree as a veterinarian. And I love it working with animals, and a lot of the things that I did as a child, taking care of animals, helping heal animals, and seeing that they were doing well. I had a compassion for animals. It carried over into my work as a veterinarian, and was able to achieve a lot of success in that field. So without getting into the accident and stuff, it changed my life. And it's meeting and seeing the person that I eventually became because of not getting into the accident. It really did change my life. And so these are options and stuff that I can see really looking back in time. So there are a lot of changes, and a lot of the changes that was brought out was the experiences that I had as a kid. I didn't see that many spirits. I didn't see um, I see ghosts and stuff like that, but my dreams, some of the dreams were there, but it wasn't something that I actively pursued. And because I wasn't actively pursuing, and I was more interested in books and reading and studying and learning new things and stuff, I went into that life and was able to accomplish much. Okay. So there's an alternative me in some kind of alternative timeline that's probably retired veterinarian right now, or still an older veterinarian taking care of animals and loving animals. To do this type of exploration and stuff requires a complete relaxation and a method of meditation that clears your mind and just think back, throw back yourself to the event that you want to look at and ask yourself, what would have happened if this didn't happen in my life? And from there, you picture an alternative to what happened. And that alternative to me was, instead of falling out of the car, I grabbed the armrest and the car door didn't open and I didn't fall out. And from that point in time, and kind of like fast forward and see, you'll see different events throughout how things changed. And me, instead of ending up in the hospital sick a lot and stuff, I was very well. And the time that I would have spent in the hospital, I spent reading books. And there wasn't much to do on Molokai but read books or play basketball. And I love both, but I was a bookworm. Okay, so this is an interesting experiment, and there are a lot of different experiments that I did over the time, and meeting the interesting people along the way. And later, there's other major life decisions that I made that I did take a look at, and some of it involved, staying up in Utah instead of coming back home after my sophomore year in college, and some of my career choices. Okay, so this is an interesting experiment that you may want to work on and have fun with, and it's really interesting to see an alternative self. Okay, and until next week sometime, hopefully the Powerball goes up. It went up just slightly today, not as much. I think it only went up about 8 million, okay, for the Powerball. So it's slowly climbing up there. So until the next time I'll be posting for the Powerball is after the Powerball reaches, the jackpot reaches over 100 million, then it will be worthwhile. Okay? So until then, this is Dave Wallace from Waihoa, Hawaii, saying aloha.